Now, here we have an ordinary loaf of homemade bread. Watch closely.
Imagine that, a whole loaf of bread disappearing before our very eyes.
Oh, madam, that is nothing. You far excel me at making bread disappear.
What are you talking about? I can't make anything disappear.
Watch this. There, madam, is the amount of bread that you cause to disappear every week through household waste.
As a child, we've been exposed to household and nationwide morals to finish our food. The Great Depression brought with it the basic morals to save food. But we're not in the midst of the Great Depression, are we? In countries like the United States, food is often taken for granted. It's estimated that approximately 133 billion pounds of food is wasted in the United States every year. All the while, 1 in 8 Americans are food insecure, meaning they lack reliable access to sufficient quantity of affordable, nutritious food. But why is food waste a problem if we lived by the basic morals as a child? Why should the average American, who is not food insecure, care? Food waste, however, is catastrophically impacting social life of both the rich and the poor. Making efforts to change does not only prevent food waste, but also saves water, money, and the environment. People may believe food waste is the least of their problems and is an insignificant factor in their life. But let's take, for example, a hamburger. According to National Geographic, the average hamburger requires 630 gallons of water to make when you account for the irrigation of cattle feed crops as well as water used in production. Now let's say an 8-year-old manages to eat about half of the burger and ends up throwing the rest away. Without knowing, they've wasted an equivalent of 315 gallons worth of water from only throwing out half of a hamburger. The waste of water, however, does not only occur in garbages of homes and stores, but also continues its journey as it reaches landfills. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, once in a landfill, chemicals like ammonia can leach into the groundwater by means of precipitation and surface runoff. That means when it rains in a landfill of food waste, toxic chemicals like ammonia bury underground. Once underground, they can travel around, contaminating wells, rivers, and our groundwaters. Precious clean water continues to be under threat, and as water continues to be the main source of life, it's stunning to see that in the United States alone, we throw away or waste about 30% of our food, or about 11 trillion gallons of irrigation water, according to the Stockholm International Water Institute. It's important to begin reducing food waste because in the future, there may not be enough water to grow and make our food, and there may not even be enough clean water to sustain the rapidly growing population worldwide. But water is not the only unattended waste. Money, the very thing that nearly everything revolves around. It would be great to have a lot of it, but we end up throwing that away, just like food. Some may believe big stores waste the most food, then resulting in them losing the most money. However, in the United States, it's not the supermarkets or the large industries wasting the most food, but households in the United States show they discard more money and food. According to the Natural Resources Defense Council, the average family of 4 in the United States wastes anywhere from $1,350 to $2,275 annually. The governments, too, lose a large amount of money. According to the New York Times, about 32 million metric tons of food waste end up in municipal landfills at a cost of about $1.5 billion a year to local governments. That's money that could have been spent on new and improved transportation maintenance of road and expansion of roads, as well as the increase in new schools and improved education overall. If it hadn't been for our recklessness, the United States could have saved up to $218 billion from growing, processing, and transporting food that never got eaten. $218 billion that could have been used to fund ways to reduce pollution and fossil fuel emissions in order to save our environment. We live on Earth, but it seems odd we don't take very good care of it. Food that goes to the landfills generate methane, a greenhouse gas 23 times as potent as carbon dioxide. And according to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, landfills account for 34% of all methane emissions in the United States. Food waste contributes so many greenhouse gases. If it were a country, it would be third in the world, behind China and the United States. These pollutants then get trapped in our atmosphere, contributing to global warming. The increase in number of droughts, storms, and floods is directly caused by global warming itself. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, 28% of the world's agricultural area is used annually to produce food that is lost or wasted. That means that the mass deforestation that occurred for agriculture, well, 28% of that land could have stayed a forest.
Forests are known as carbon sinks, meaning that when trees photosynthesize, they absorb all that CO2 that's in the atmosphere and they hold on to it. And so when you clear a forest, then you lose that carbon sink and more CO2 is lingering in the atmosphere, contributing to global warming instead of being held on by the forests.
Food labels have been misinterpreted for years now, and people have suggested it marks the day food is unsafe to consume. However, there's no science behind these dates, often leaving good, harmless food to waste. What do the dates mean then? Well, according to the Food Safety and Inspection Service, these do not suggest safe consumption, as a best before date indicates when it will be the best flavor, a sell by date telling how long the store should keep the product on the shelf, a use by date indicating when the food will be at peak quality, and a freeze by date showing when food should be frozen. As we can see, none of these labels indicate any sort of expiration or safe to eat date.
Milk is pasteurized, which means that it should not contain pathogenic bacteria like Salmonella or E. coli. So the risks from drinking spoiled milk are virtually zero.
Sorry.
Tastes okay, maybe on the edge of spoiling, but it tastes okay today at least.
Tastes fine.
Milk, for example, can still be consumed even past its date. However, due to existing beliefs, people may not be obligated to consume dated food. Food banks, however, will accept unopened consumables even past their dates for redistribution. But what can we do to reduce food waste to subsequently save water, money, and the environment? Although we're all guilty of throwing out food in the past, anyone can reduce food waste today. But it's all up to how they do it. Reducing food waste can start from well-planned shopping lists to freezing near-old food for later consumption. Donating food to food banks for further distribution will reduce food insecurity and food waste collectively. We must make efforts to compost leftover food, as composting cuts down on greenhouse gas emissions and creates soil with enhanced water retention to grow new food at a lower economic and water cost. We can change how food waste takes control of our lives, because even making the smallest effort to reduce food waste ultimately benefits every living being.